But also one of the things that I've heard you talk about, too, is I thought this was hilarious, the backlash against the idea that Kamala Harris was a diversity pick. Now, Joe Biden and his White House were pretty explicit when they picked her that this was to balance out the ticket from a diversity point of view. But now suddenly everybody's gotten mad at the New York Post for suggesting that, yeah, in fact, she was a DEI hire. But come on, right?
No, I mean, conservatives in America, maybe there's a corollary phrase that you guys use over there. We call this the celebration parallax, which is summed up by the phrase, that's not happening and it's good that it is. And that's the attitude you hear from, the media on a whole host of different issues, which is effectively we're allowed to celebrate something and point out that it's happening in a good way. But if anyone on the right points out that it's happening and says, but that's bad, then it's a total conspiracy theory. Right? So you can celebrate Kamala Harris' DEI pick, a victory for DEI, but you can't criticize it.
I love this idea of the celebration parallax here, and I suspect there's an awful lot of that also goes into the way that we discuss immigration in the United States. And you've noted that there's this really interesting phenomenon where migrants are, of course, more likely to favor more migration. So in a sense, there's kind of this the real reason why I would suspect that you're suggesting is that they're so keen on open borders is to permanently change the kind of direction that the country goes. Now, we get dismissed as being conspiracy theorists for that, but I think there's probably something to that. What do you think, Nate?
No, I'm glad you pointed that out because that was originally the concept that the celebration parallax was used for. We hear talk about the quote-unquote great replacement and how it's a right-wing conspiracy theory. People on the left in America have been explicitly celebrating the fact that American demographics are changing drastically and that that's going to make America more liberal for decades. You can look in the pages of the New York Times and the Washington Post. They're saying this is happening and isn't it great? But if anyone on the right points out that it's happening and says, hey, maybe I might have some concerns about how this is going to affect my country, then it's a dangerous right-wing conspiracy theory.
Yeah. And it becomes alt-right. Anyway, Nate Hochman, thank you so much for joining us here on the U.S. Report. We'll definitely have you back again. Thank you so much for your time on this historic day. Now, before we go to the break, let me make clear one more time that despite all the president's troubles, the Democrats, and I talk about this as the Democrat Party, are still in this race. And I don't care what the polls say about Trump being up. It's a long way to go to November, and as we know, anything can happen. Just check this little clip out. It's an interview CNN did with somebody who I suspect is a fairly typical Democrat voter who thinks Joe Biden is not up to it, Kamala Harris is not qualified, and is still going to go vote for the Democrats no matter what.
Did he look to you like someone who could serve for president for 4.5 more years?
I think that let me put it this way, I'm voting for the party right now.
Do you think Vice President Harris is qualified to be president?
No.
Trump supporters, Trump campaign, if you're watching, don't get cocky.